means that an event cannot happen. It's impossible. And a probability of 1 means that an event is definitely going to happen. It's certain. That's why the probability line only goes from 0 to 1. An event can't be less likely than impossible, and it can't be more likely than certain. A probability of 1/2, like with our coin toss, means that an event is just as likely to happen as it is to not happen. A probability less than 1/2 means that an event is unlikely, and a probability greater than 1/2 means that an event is likely. Oh, and in addition to fractions, it's also common to write probabilities as decimals or percentages, since you can easily convert between those three. A probability of 0 is the same as a 0% chance of something happening. A probability of 1/2 is the same as a 50% chance of something happening. And a probability of 1 is the same as a 100% chance of something. One way to think about it is that it's certain that one of those 6 sides will land facing upwards, which is a probability of 1 or 100%. But since only one side can face upwards for a given roll, we have to divide up that value among all the possibilities. In the case of a coin toss, since there were only 2 possibilities, we had to divide the probability by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2, which is the decimal 0.5 or 50%. But with the die, we need to divide the probability up evenly between 6 possibilities. 1 divided by 6 is 1/6, which is equivalent to 0.167, or 16.7%. So that would be right here on our probability line. That means it isn't likely that I would roll. If you add up the probabilities for the coin flip, you get 2 over 2, or 1. And if you add up the probabilities for rolling the die, you get 6 over 6, which is also 1. And that's not just a coincidence. If you add up the probabilities of all possible outcomes of a trial, the total is going to be 1, or 100%, because it is certain that at least one of those possibilities will. It's like with dice, where we had to split up the 100% between all 6 possibilities. We'll do the same thing now, but we'll split it up between 16 possibilities. So the probability of spinning a 12 is 1 over 16, or about 6%, which is right here on the probability line. We can see that the probability of spinning a 12 is less likely than the probability of rolling a 3. And that makes sense because there are more possible outcomes with our spinner. Remember how with the coin toss, we ended up with the fraction 1 over 2, and with the die roll, we got the fraction 1 over 6? In both cases, we had 1 as the numerator, and that's because we were interested in only one of the possible outcomes, like the probability of flipping heads, or the probability of the number 3 being rolled. But in this case, the top number of our fraction will be 5, because any of these 5 sectors will give us the color we want, and the bottom number will still be the total number of possibilities, which is 16, because that's how many total sectors we have. So the probability of spinning the blue is 5 over 16, or about 31%. That's still considered unlikely, but it's more likely than spinning a specific number. And this method will work for figuring out the probability of any event. You just make a fraction with the numerator as the number of outcomes that satisfy your requirement, and the denominator as the total number of possible outcomes. Let's try the same method to find the probability of spinning the yellow. Our top number should be 11 because there's 11 yellow sectors, and our bottom number should still be 16. So the probability of spinning the yellow is 11 over 16, or about 69%. Now we finally have a probability that's considered likely. And it makes sense because you can see by looking at our spinner that it's more likely to spin a yellow than a blue. And you'll notice, if we add up 5 over 16 and 11 over 16, we get 16 over 16, or a probability of 1. The top number of our probability fraction will be 3 because there's 3 green marbles. So there's 3 outcomes that get us what we want. And the bottom number will be 11 because there's a total of 11 possible marbles that we could pull out. So the probability of pulling out a green marble is 3 over 11, or 0.27, or 27%. It's right here on the probability line. That means it's unlikely. And that makes sense because you can see that it would be less likely to pull out a green marble than one of the other ones. Let's try this again for calculating the probability of pulling out a yellow marble. This time, the numerator of our fraction will be 7 because there's 7 yellow marbles. The denominator will still be 11 because there's still 11 marbles total. So the probability of pulling out a yellow marble is 7 over 11, or 0.64, or 64%. Another example of an event that's likely. How about pulling out the white marble? Well, the top number will be 1 since there's only one white marble, and the bottom number is still 11. So the probability of pulling out a white marble is 1 over 11, or 0.09, or 9%.